How's it going? Welcome to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I think this is episode 31. I'm pretty sure. Thanks for all the new subscribers, and thanks for the comments and the emails at lostlikemike@gmail.com. Yeah, it's gotten to that point where I try to remember the things that I talk about so that I don't seem to rant about the same things, or, but from the previous episode, because it's still fresh in my mind. But I'd like to first start off with thanking everybody for that does listen and continues this dialogue, well, by messaging and commenting and not making it just one-sided. So I appreciate that. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez. I've had a tendency of forgetting to do that recently as well. I had a few notes of what I wanted to talk about today. I do like to fly off the cuff and just kind of talk about whatever's on my mind. But as I was driving home, I started thinking about a couple things that I wanted to talk about, and then I said to myself, well, if I sound like that when I get on, camera, then I'm gonna be angry at myself. So I said I'd write a few notes and, think it through before I started talking about a couple of these things. But we did an earlier show today. Obviously, it's Super Bowl Sunday, and my wife was sick, so we didn't go to church this morning. Kind of a drag, because it's sort of, as you could probably tell in the past several episodes, it's sort of been an anchor in my week, sort of bring me back from being on the verge of whatever bad attitudes or whatever things that I kind of, I consider myself a functional, person with a lot of different, struggles, we'll get into that in a little bit. I wanted to talk a little bit about that, but yeah. So, I know that I've referenced the pastor and messages that sort of have been talked about while being there at church. And it's funny because I'm a spiritual person. I've always had a hard time working through a lot of organized religion, as a lot of people do. I know that there's something bigger than myself, that there's something bigger than us. And I know that there's good out there, and sometimes there really is just evil, without reason or rhyme, just evil. But there's a lot more nuance to this living human experience. So I have a hard time just and I want to make it simple. I would love it to be easier. I was going through the box of photographs that I had received a couple of weeks ago, and I saw a picture of my aunt, Antonia Gonzalez. And there was someone who had just devotion and commitment to her religion. Just unshakable faith. And there's been a few people in my life that I've seen that have exercised that, have had that. But definitely, I mean, I remember going to church, and without fail, she'd always reference, her faith. It was always ever present, no matter what. She lived a unique life. She spent, for what I know of her life, she devoted her existence to taking care of her parents, my grandparents, and lived in their house and took care of them well, until they both passed away. I mean, just selfless, and quite often took care of the multitudes of cousins that made their way in and out of that house. I stayed there several summers, and so I definitely can attest to her, the purity of her spirit. I mean, she was really one of the good ones. But her faith never wavered. It was never like, a lot of times you hear people talk about their, and I mean, and so to speak, maybe just never out in public, never in front of me, never in front of the kids, never in front of the others. But I would love that sort of unquestioning faith. My sister has a lot of that. When she says she prays, then, I know that she's really putting forth that putting all of her energy and all of her, that power of connectedness to the collective conscious, or the universe, the army of angels, however you want to, whatever. It's all semantics at this, at one point or another. But I've seen her move mountains with prayer, and it's really a very powerful thing. There was a friend of mine who passed. His name was Patrick Alva, and he passed. He had cancer, and but I worked with him for a long time, on and off, and there was a guy who had who was very vocal about his faith, and I mean, he kept a positive, attitude in just the darkest of situations. I mean, I couldn't imagine if I was afflicted with some of the things that he was. I don't know if I would have that composure and that, just sense about him. But for those folks, I mean, it's kind of cool to know that there are those that have that sort of that peace in their hearts. Maybe it doesn't come easily, but I mean, it's nice to know it's there. But yeah, so we didn't get to go to church because she wasn't feeling well. Turns out she has COVID. I don't. I mean, I don't. I just don't. She does. But so took care of some things around the house, and then we did an earlier show because the Super Bowl, that's where this tangent happened. So I mean, look, I hear a lot about on social media, people don't have a dog in the fight, so they don't care about the Super Bowl, right? But just from playing at the show and seeing all the people in the jerseys, and there's a large amount of people that care about who's in the game. I'm recording this as the game's going on, so at last I checked, it was a close game within a score or whatever, like a touchdown separation or something like that. And then there's the whole portion of the population that cares about the halftime show and all of that sort of stuff. But even then, I just perused or just kind of meandered, just sort of peripherally checked social media, and people were divided on that. I don't know if it's cool to say that it sucked or bored or garbage or whatever, or they loved it or whatever. I didn't listen to it, and don't get me wrong, I have the social media feed, the Facebook feed on silent, and it was Rihanna, but they were like on these giant platform things held up by wires and doing dance routines while not on the ground. Man, it's got to give it up for, E for effort at least. I mean, geez, man, what do we got to do? See, that's why I couldn't get down with not that they're knocking at my door asking if I'll do the halftime show. I'm just saying, it's one of those situations where it's like everything has to one up the last, or it's not about the, I remember there was when Prince did it, and it was raining and he was singing Purple Rain, and it was quite beautiful. It was I'm gonna look that up, just so if anybody wants to see it. I don't know if something's wrong with, I just give up on writing the whole words these days. Well, this is riveting podcasting right here. No, but it was just him and a guitar, the show, and he's singing a song, and it was raining. It was just beautiful. I don't even know. That I think is far more powerful than pyrotechnics. And don't get me wrong, I mean, everything's, a good show is a good show. Entertainment's entertainment, but to me, you can't beat that. Breaking it down to whatever it is, it's all about the song, inevitably, about the context. Speaking of context in songs, I briefly, I think I mentioned something about it, or maybe not, I don't know. But right now there's a hit with, worldwide hit, by the way. I heard something about it being just this huge hit for Miley Cyrus. There's a lot of jokes being made right now around Valentine's Day about don't expect for your significant other to buy you flowers because you've been singing about buying your own for weeks or whatever. Yeah, that's whoever's joke that was, whatever meme that was. Credit to them. It's not my joke. I don't talk about it. So, but the one thing that you can't deny is that it was in response or inspired by or in in relation of some sort to the song written, well, the Bruno Mars song, where he talks about he wish he would have bought flowers or whatever. He wish he would have bought flowers. I don't think that's what it, what is it called? You're a man. Right. I think I mentioned something about it because I was looking up in the internet about how, according to these law professors on Billboard magazine, they were talking about how that there's no legal obligation to acknowledge that connection. Like there's no copyright infringement. The similarity is not sonic and it's not lyrically like tied close enough. But I think that, and there's been other examples. I mean, like like Olivia Rodrigo gave 50% of the royalties to Paramore for sonic similarities between her songs, and also Taylor Swift for similarities with a song of hers. And it's funny when I looked up that one, they said that song, they said that Olivia Rodrigo lost millions of dollars. So in terms of saying that you lost a percentage of what you made, that means that she made millions of dollars in addition. So in like a cost analysis of like whether it's worth it to borrow other people's music, it sounds like it's, But when I was trying to research the Miley Cyrus one, there was articles that would, in the headlines, maybe, that were talking about how Miley Cyrus samples Bruno's song, and there were, interloops, aspects, they were using a lot of that kind of terminology. But all I wanted to know was whether or not Miley Cyrus would say, acknowledge it. Like, screw it. I don't think that you have to pay somebody. Although, according to the Billboard magazine, they said that there was over a 20% boost in Bruno Mars stream sales of that song, of his song. So, like, he's making a good amount of money off of somebody referencing loosely his song. But my point is that if not for the context, then it's not, the novelty's not there. It's a good tune. It's a very good song. It's very catchy. But even the catchiness of it comes in part from the connection to the other song. And to deny that is a mistake. If it was me, if I was the artist and I had done that, if I had put out a song that was in response, to somebody else's song, I would be like, yeah, like, that this is where I sort of got that. This was my muse. It sort of inspired me to talk about this, and it was, because I don't know if she doesn't. It gave the impression that she wasn't going to, whatever. But I know that a lot of it is legal, where they don't want to. They have to be careful about the terminology that they use as to, the influence of another artist's music. Next thing you know, you're giving away, all of the profits and royalties you made off of whatever, Anyway, also the Grammys were recently. I couldn't believe, I mean, well, first I hear Bonnie Raitt wins Song of the Year, right? And there was this big uproar about how it should have been Beyonce. I don't know why. I do know why. But I don't know why. I don't know why it's necessary for this to happen. But even I keep grabbing for this mouse for my computer, but my wife took out the batteries for my daughter's game. And if you're looking at the YouTube, you see what I'm talking about. If you're just listening, I'm messing with the mouse and I keep grabbing it and moving it around, thinking it's going to mess with my computer, but it has no batteries. So it's just frustrating. Okay. Harry Styles. God bless, I could not remember his name. Some heckler yells at Harry Styles, he won Album of the Year. Should have been Beyonce, right? And here's my problem, okay? The headline reads, Beyonce's Album of the Year snub fits into the Grammys' long history of overlooking black women. Okay. Literally the first sentence after that says, or not the first sentence, but right next to it in sort of like a different article, that Beyonce just broke the record of all-time most wins of Grammys out of everybody on the planet ever, 32. So, this is just two general statements. I just find it hard to reconcile that comment, you know. Look, so this is the first thing. First things first. All right. And I don't want to bore people with my stupid opinions about this, but let's just understand something. This isn't the People's Choice Award. Although I'd be interested to hear somebody heckling that. But this isn't a People's Choice Award. If you know how the Grammys are picked, first of all, you have to be a member of NARS, the National Association of Recording Artists and Sciences, right? You to vote. You can have it submitted by the record labels or these, you know, you can have these artists and songs and whatever. First, they categorize them and put these artists into genres, and then they vote. And I mean, I have the whole process where I could spell it out, but I really don't think that that's necessary. My only point is that it's a group of people that are part of this organization, and they pick it. They vote, and they pick it. You know, it's like, you know, we could talk about like how some people say that the Oscars of late have sort of been trying to make sure that their selections are diverse and the winners are diverse. You know, I mean, I don't want that to be the way in all things that things are chosen. I would prefer it to be a meritocracy, like just, I don't know how to do it because I've talked about this ad nauseum, that it boils down to what the people want. And sometimes they base their decisions on what sounds best, or sometimes it's in the context of society at that moment. And that's just the way it is. Sometimes things catch on and get viral because they're just amazing and fantastic, and the quality of whatever is put out there is such that it's undeniable. And other times it's because it just hits on the chord of where everybody's mindset is at that particular moment. And I think that it's wrong to heckle the artist when it's not, has nothing to do with them, other than their label lobbying for them to get the award. You know, I mean, I'm past the naivety of, and I hope the world is too, of thinking that artists get played on the radio or get airtime or any of that without greasing the wheels and having money change hands or favors and exclusive interviews and all this kind of stuff. It's still very much the machine pushing the artist forward. But in this particular instance, you know, so if you hear like it's not an anomaly if Bonnie Raitt wins Song of the Year. I haven't had the opportunity to listen to the song, but she's a fantastic songwriter. And as somebody pointed out, a lot of these artists, their songs are written by 3, 4, 5 people. And a lot of times she writes her things, just writes it, you know. So, but more so the Harry Styles thing, because I have a lot of respect for the position Harry Styles has had to take, but that he took musically when putting out this last record. He has a lot of respect for the craft. I know he tapped people like Stevie Nicks to help him in his songwriting, and he put out like several hits off this record, just undeniable hits, you know, generationally crossing over generations, where he had, you know, commercial success and critical success. So I'm not surprised that he won Album of the Year. Because look, in the end, the guy sold out 15 nights at the LA, whatever that's called, the Forum, whatever it is. I mean, a lot of that, the big four, whatever, like the Album of the Year, Artist of the Year, whatever, Song of the, typically they are they're pop based, where they're talking about, you know, commercial success and more so than critical success. Anyway, I'm boring myself, so I'm going to leave that where it lay. I'm just trying to say that's just gross to I guess it goes back to even like Kanye going up and saying that to Taylor Swift when he did. It's gross. Like, I mean, that more so than anybody, because he should definitely know what the machine is like, because he was all up in it. So it's just, you know, but that's my 2 cents and just random thoughts about it. So wanted to tell a story about today. It sounds serious when I said that like that. I don't mean to come off that serious. But I was trying to think of how I wanted to tell the story, because if I say what happened, then I might be robbing you of some of the drama of the story. So, all right, I'll go that way then. Okay, so I nearly died today. And I'll tell you all about it right after this commercial. No. Um, I know the suspense is killing you. What do you mean? You almost died. So I'll tell you how it happened first, and then we'll get into it. Jeez, I just had a little sip and it exploded all over me. So I played earlier today before, I usually play later. That's why I'm recording this so late at night. So we did okay. We had our tip jar and we did okay. Normally I'll take the tip jar and I'll go over to back behind the staging area where they used to have this like DJ booth, and I'll separate the tips there and give my partner his cut, and I'll take mine and be on my way. But every now and then, when it doesn't work out that way, I'll have to divvy them up where we perform. We have a table in front of where we perform. I'll just divide them there and split the money. I didn't even think about it, but I'm breaking up this money and I'm not even mentally aware of the people that are around me, like watching me with this cash money, So I'm counting this cash money, and then I give him his half and I put mine in my pocket, and I'm just like, all right, man, I'll see you later. I have my backpack on. I'm wearing like a t-shirt, hoodie, and flannel. So it's kind of, the backpack's a little bit heavy. Has my gallon of water, which has like about, half a gallon of water, or, less. About, give or take. I'm just painting a picture for you. So then I start heading towards the door, and I peripherally notice these two guys get up and start heading towards me, and as I'm going down the stairs. Which, when I say peripherally, I'm saying that I just acknowledged the fact in the back of my mind that two people got up and started walking out at the same time I did. And I have to walk like 3-4 blocks to get to the parking garage where I park. So, so I notice when I take the first turn to go up the stairs from the river level down below to get up to the top, when I get to the top, I notice that the two guys are still behind me, which makes total sense because, if they wanted to get off the river level, that's how they would have to do it. But then I take the first left to start heading towards the parking garage, and I'm walking at a normal pace, and I notice that they took the left also. Okay, well, by this point, I start to have bad thoughts. Oh, great. I'm an idiot. I counted money. I showed that I had this wad of cash money and put it in my pocket. I might as well just have said, hey, anybody want to rob me? You guys, come on, follow me. I'll be alone in a few minutes. I did announce, hey man, see you later. I'm about to walk out. Wad of money in my pocket. So, the way that the street's set up is that I'm walking down the street and I've got to cross the street. It's like kind of more like an alley, but cars can drive through this little section. But so it's not busy enough to where I could just walk across the street so that I could be on the same side of the block that my parking garage is on, but just a block forward. But I like to get, so I thought to myself, okay, let's cross the street now at an angle. And that way you know that they're not following you, right? And so I crossed the street like at an angle. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't just run across the street real quick and then start walking forward. I kind of went like at an angle. I don't know which. Just that part's unimportant. Okay. Needless to say, the two guys crossed the street, right? So my overactive imagination is really kicking in now. I'm thinking, all right, so what kung fu movie parts can I mimic? And like I start saying so do I have any weapons on me? What am I gonna do if these guys jump me for my cash? You know, I don't know. And then I said, well, no. Let's have a plan. Let's make a plan. That's what I said to myself. So I'm about to hit the light to cross. And I said, well, I definitely need to get past this light to the parking garage before these fools catch up to me. For sure. And see, there's this entranceway where the parking garage is. Once you cross the street, you're facing the entrance of the where people can walk in to go up the stairs to get to their car. Now, mind you, I am parked on the 6th floor. Okay? I am parked on the 6th floor of this parking structure. And so here's my plan. I'll tell you what my plan is. My plan is to cross the street while the light is green. Well, I'm sorry, while my light is red, illegally, and then I'm going to do it kind of like I'm sort of timing when the cars are coming across, and so I'm walking towards the street to the corner, and I'm watching, and I'm saying, okay, if I just sort of pace myself, the last car will pass, and then I'm going to double time walk it across the street. I'm going to hit the entrance to the stairway, and I'm going to run up the stairs so that the guys won't know what floor I'm on, and hopefully get to my car before they figure out which floor I would be on, right? That's my plan. Okay. Okay. So by this point, I'm 100% sure that these guys aim to rob me. Okay. In my mind, it's over. So I time it. Last car goes. I double time walk it across the street, and I hit the doorway to the staircase. And I start I haven't run that fast. I haven't climbed stairs in a run like that. I can't even tell you, since, way too long. Okay. But, I was like Jason Bourne, just poop, poop, poop. But when I got to the 6th floor, and there was no way, because they would have to get to the street. They would have to cross the street and go up they would have had to hit a run to catch up to me. But by the time they would have gotten to the staircase, I was already on the 6th floor. So my plan worked. Okay. So obviously they didn't catch me. They would not. I was very sure that I'll never know if they were trying to, by the way, it could have been all just because they didn't double time it to catch up to me, whatever. But I hit that stairwell so fast, I went up 6 flights and my chest was hurting. I was hyperventilating. I was, a little dizzy. I think I was bored, and that's what I'm talking about. I felt like I was on the verge of a cardiac event. I jumped in the car and I sat back for a second, and I just took a minute. I tried to catch my breath, and I felt like I barely could. I was like, is that where you're out of shape, you know? And a bit on the older side, but even then, I mean, if I was really in shape, that shouldn't have really affected me. And then, you know, kind of not 100% sober. I mean, I was not inebriated, but you know, when you any sort of impairment at all affects you. So when you're going up 6 flights of stairs, but I could not get I could not get my breath. It's a horrible feeling, you know. But wow, it's so fast. I mean, I was just flying up those stairs. And I always say that I think I mentioned it on the show before. I used to run this trail up this hill in this one like city park, and towards the top of it, there was this stone structure that was there that you could tell like teenagers go up there and bet each other if they'll go inside, kind of place. You know what I mean? Like it's just scary enough. But I always reference my overactive imagination, but I could really get myself scared. I can, obviously. I mean, but so you kind of would jog, and then the trail to get back to the car was a good, you know, half a mile. But you would go through this wooded area, and you'd start from where this scary stone structure was, and the park would close at evening. So at dusk, when it's just starting to get, the sky is starting to look kind of like a grayish blue, starts getting really dark, especially in the wood. Man, I mean, you could be out of shape, and I could be, and I could be coming up all the way like and going, you know what, man, I just want to sit down. I've pushed myself too hard, and then I hit that spot. Next thing you know, I get second wind, baby. I can't stop. You know, I'd find that power, and I'd be flying, man. Of course, when you get back to the car, you know, you're barely hanging on. You feel like you're dying over here, but yeah. So definitely was motivated by adrenaline. But, and it's, who was it? I know it's some comedian. Maybe it was, oh yeah. All right. It was just, so I'm not stealing this one either, but Dave Chappelle once said, like, I'm just going to paraphrase, that fear of me having a load of money in my pocket and trying to get to my car by myself. And he said, imagine just being a woman and being scared all the time, because, you know, you carry that with you all the time. Just what guys want or whatever, or what is wanted. But I worry about things like that. But yeah, so I wanted to say that I ran up 6 flights of stairs and I felt like I was about to fall over and die. But, you know, it's what a twist, right? It was, y'all thought that it was going to be these guys that were almost killed me, but nope. It was my dumbass running up 6 flights of stairs. I mean, and sometimes I'll carry a blade with me and I didn't have nothing on me, man. Vince always makes fun of me for wanting to do that. I think is like, I remember this one time, because see, Vince has this way about him, right? He's a pacifist, but sometimes, like, he'll say something, and it's like, I know in my mind that people aren't going to come after him. When we're on stage, I should be more specific. I remember we played this one night, and he said some comments to this dude. And I had been pretty respectful to this dude up until that point. No problem. But then something flipped in the guy because Vince, he had said some smart-ass comment to him. And the guy starts making crazy eyes at him and saying some stuff under his breath or whatever. Bucking up on him, basically. And so I'm like, dude, are you serious, man? I thought we're cool. Like, what's your deal? And then I have to stand in front of Vince and be like, hey, man, yeah, that's enough. You need to make your way away from here. So on occasion, I'll get that impression. Like I remember this other time, and this happens every now and then because you mix a copious amount of alcohol with guys that are pent up wanting to hook up with somebody, and more often than not being successful. And then you have the formula for upset people. And this one guy said, I'm at the bar, and he says, man, if my friends don't show up today, I'm just gonna pick somebody and I'm just gonna start fighting with them. And he kept staring at me while he was saying it. And I was like, oh, cool. So if your friend, okay, yeah, cool. You do you, right? And then when I went back to the stage where I was at, he made his way around and he says something about, I don't know, some crazy thing. And I leaned in and I said, hey, dude, like, whatever you're after, man, I'm not that guy. Like I'm not here to play. I'm not here to hang out. I'm not here to have, you know what I mean? Like, you think it's cute or funny or provocative, whatever it is, man, I'm not your guy. Like, you need to F off because, like, I don't know. See, people could take things differently. I just don't. I feel like everything's a threat, and I don't know if that's like some sort of hyper awareness caused by being around it too much. But he always makes fun of me because I'll be like, "Hey, dude, I have my knife with me," and he's like, "So stupid. You don't need a knife." Well, yeah. I mean, I remember one time, and with the full band, one of my guys was talking to a girl at the club. We were playing. We're getting ready to play. And somebody comes up to me and says, hey, they're going to go there. Somebody wants to fight one of the members of the band. And I just wanted to prevent anything from happening. I don't, you ever hear like in a band with a gang and like you mess with one of us, it's none of that. Like, I don't condone any of that. I think it's all all that stuff's BS. Like, I would never want anything or allow anything to happen to any of my friends, family, or bandmates, but I've seen a lot of dumb things that people can get themselves into. So all I'll say is that I try to prevent them from getting into any sort of trouble. So all the members of the band are there. And I said, what's going on? Well, this dude's pissed off because so-and-so's talking to his girlfriend. And so I said, okay, well, what's going on? Like, is this true, or is this a deal, or what's... well, he says he wants to fight him. So then I go out and I go to this dude who's trying to find one of my bandmates. I don't know the guy from nobody. They just pointed him out. And I say, hey, man, like, no harm, no foul. Nobody wants your stupid, your girlfriend or whatever. Just, this must have been a misunderstanding. Well, I want to fight him. Yeah, that's not going to happen, man. Because whatever bullshit you came up with, it's not true. And so let's just all have a good time. How about I buy you a beer? Whatever. No, we're going outside. I want to see this dude. So we went outside. And believe me when I tell you that every single member of my band left. And me and this dude are standing outside of this club. And I wish that I was better at remembering the details of how everybody left and how I didn't know, or why I was talking to the dude in the first place. But needless to say, we're standing outside together. And he goes, somebody's going to fight me. Somebody's going to pay for this, whatever. And I looked down at him and I said, man, I don't know what to tell you, dude. I don't even know who your stupid girlfriend is. Like, I mean, I'll still buy you a beer. I just don't know where my dudes are at. They all split, man. So I'm just kind of, it's been before where like trouble kind of can happen in the context of playing with my group, or, so I guess I'm always hyper vigilant when it comes to things like that, because it's just, I could tell you countless examples. I think I mentioned before being we were in another city, and my guitar player had a buddy of his, or like a relative, and they all wanted to beat him up. And next thing you know, I'm standing in the middle of all these big dudes. And turned out, if I've told this story before, I apologize, but the girl in question had made up a story that my guitar player's friend or cousin or whatever had hit her so that she could get the attention of her boyfriend. And so all I did was kind of get it in the middle of all these big dudes, and I said, whoa, is everything okay? What's happening? This dude says he smacked my girl or whatever. I looked at this little dude that had come with my guitar player. I looked back at the girl. I looked back at these big dudes. I said, hold up, yo. I said, check it out. These dudes, these guys, whoever, your boyfriend or whatever, is about to roll this guy based on what you just said. I just want to be honest, because we just got here. Did he really, do you even know this guy? Did he touch you? Did he harm you in any way? Because if he did, I don't even want to associate with this fool, because I don't condone that at all. And then she's like, well, not really. Whatever. And the dude kind of looks at her. And I told my guitar, I said, hey, we just need to get these dudes out of here, whatever. And just then, when everything was still kind of at hype, that's when police got there and security got there. And it was like, yeah, well, you'll better run or whatever. No, it was more like just shit the cops, let's go. And we all just sort of dispersed. Stupidity, just dumb things. But anyway, last thing for today. A friend of mine messaged, they posted something about depression, and a lot of times I'm a highly functioning person that suffers, and sometimes not very highly functioning. And I know all too well what this person is talking about, and I just wanted to put that energy out there that a lot of times people will say, oh, all you have to do is exercise, get that dopamine or whatever. Talk to somebody, they give a lot of different advice. And my point is to say that all of it can be right and none of it can be right. It all has to do with the person, when they hear it, and whether or not they're ready to hear it, or whether it's appropriate for them at that time. There's no secret or magic pill. There's no thing that can be said or done that will take it all away and make it all better. None that I've found. Things help: family, community, spirituality in some cases, exercise. They're all great ideas. But when you can't even get yourself out of bed and you don't know how to break that cycle, it can be daunting. And sometimes it's just an episode that just you need to kind of go through. This isn't me trying to give advice, other than to say that what you're going through is natural, and you know that as well as I do. You're just not alone in going through it. You're in my thoughts, and I wish you the best. And just know that when the time is right, those ideas of exercise or meditation or joining something in your community, or participating in social bike rides, or sports, or going to church, or whatever, those ideas will sound better. They'll sound like, one of them will sound like the thing to do. And it's something that I have to remind myself of when I'm at my darkest. I know that you have to understand that sometimes it's just a physiological reaction to chemical imbalances going on inside that you cannot help with those things at that moment. And if you understand the science behind it, sometimes it makes it less scary to say that, to think that you'll never get out of it. You can, and you will. But until then, just know that you're not alone, and we're all fighting the good fight. All right? So, that being said, thank y'all for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing, for messaging me. Please do email me thoughts, concerns, ideas, lostlikemike@gmail.com. And all right.